great way to begin a video, me tripping over the cord. Okay. Can I move something? What?
The case on the table there. Over there.
Okay. Alright. So, I lied to you yesterday. I'm going to see if you guys can figure out why. We did problems like this. 16r squared. This is actually exactly a problem that you did on your homework. And we simplified them by canceling off r squared, canceling off 16. So in this case, we would end up with 1 over r. So what we're saying here is that 16r squared over 16r to the third is equal to 1 over r. It's not always true. When is this not equal to this? In other words, what I'm really asking you,
when there's a value for r.
what I'm really asking you, because here's the intermediate step, right? Is I'm saying 16 over 16 is 1. I'm saying r squared over r squared is 1. And then I have 1 over r left. So when is 16 over 16 not 1? Or when is r squared over r squared not 1?
When r is a value. No.
Well, for most values that will work, right? Like if r is 2, 2 squared over 2 squared is 4 over 4, which is 1. When r is, I don't know, 7, r squared over r squared becomes 49 over 49. That's 1.
Well, then when is it not?
Why would it not be 1?
When is it?
Let's try it. So if r is a negative,
When it's 0.
if r is a negative, you guys got it, but let's do the negative one because it was a great guess. So let's say r is negative 1. If we have negative 1 squared over negative 1 squared, that's going to be 1 over 1, which is 1.
If it's 0.
What if it's 0 though?
You can't divide
0 squared over 0 squared, 0 over 0, is 0 over 0 1?
No.
No. Right? No. It is not. And so in that case, this would not be equal to this. Watch what happens. If I have 0 here, 16 times 0 squared is 0. 0 down bottom is 0. But this would be 1 over 0. Is 0 over 0 equal to 1 over 0?
No.
Yeah, we're not really sure actually about that one, but because they're both sort of undefined. But no, these are not equal. So, we can say that this is true as long as we write down an exception. And this is the piece that we're going to add today. This is called the excluded value. We just have to simply write r does not equal 0. So this is equal to this as long as r does not equal 0. Alright, let's do an example. Do another example. Okay. So here's an even better example because it will become immediately obvious why they're not equal. Alright, 32n squared over 24n. Yesterday we would have said, okay, I can cancel out an 8. 8, what is, 4, right? Wait, did I cancel out something else?
You can cancel
6, no. 4, I'm having a little brain fart here. And then I can cancel out an n, leaving n in the top and nothing in the bottom. So I can say this is equal to this. What did I cancel out? I canceled out an 8. Now we don't ever have to really worry about numbers, right? 8 over 8 is always going to be 1. But when you start canceling anything that has a variable in it, you have to think about excluded value. So I canceled n over n. What can n not be in this final simplified form? 0. Because n over n, right, 0 over 0 does not equal 1.
What about, when do we not have to write this?
You always will have to write this. Yeah.
But is
Well,
that
pretty
the
much.
same for everyone? Is there ever enough?
So we'll get there.
Like what if there's no
Now let's prove that this is true. Watch. Here's my original problem. If n were 0 in this original problem, what would this evaluate to? 32 times 0 squared is what?
0.
0. 24 times 0 is 0. Okay. What would this one evaluate to? 4 times 0 is 0. And 3 in the denominator. What is 0 divided by 3?
0.
Yeah. So we just proved that 0 over 0 equals 0.
That's
We can tell Siri and she won't have to
Tell
complain
Siri.
about Cookie
Cookies.
Monster anymore.
Wait, what? That's the thing?
No, this is wrong, right? This is not true. 0 over 0 is not 0. 0 over 0 is undefined.
Wait a second, guys.
Wait, what's the thing with Siri?
I'll show
Have you
you.
ever asked Zero? Have you ever asked Zero what Siri divided by
Okay.
Siri is?
So these are not equal, right? They're not equal when n equals 0. And it's because we simplified this to this by canceling out an n. We can't cancel out 0 over 0. So let's do one that's a little bit more complicated. I'm going to take one from the homework, but I'm already going to factor it for you. So let's say I have this. Yeah. So I have 2 times r minus 2 over r minus 2. Yesterday we would have simply reduced this by crossing out the r minus 2 and the r minus 2, leaving us with 2. When can I not cross off r minus 2 over r minus 2?
When R is 0.
Okay, if r is 0, then I have negative 2. What I'm crossing off is r minus 2 over r minus 2, right? I'm saying that that equals 1, which is why I can factor it out.
Oh no, when it's 2.
If
When
r
is
were
2.
0, I would have 0 minus 2, which is negative 2, over 0 minus
It's
2,
R, it's
which is
2.
1.
It's 2. It's 2.
Right, but what if r were 2? If r equals 2, what is r minus 2?
0.
0. And what is r minus 2?
0.
This does not equal 1. So I know that r minus 2 is my excluded value for this problem. This should start to feel now like finding the zeros. We're looking at this factor, r minus 2, and we're trying to figure out when this whole factor is 0.
Can you do one more? I'm still confused.
Yeah, we're going to do more examples. So I'm looking at what I canceled off, and in this problem I canceled off r minus 2. And I'm trying to figure out when that is 0. And this is 0 when r is 2. So my excluded value is r cannot equal 2. Alright, let's do some more. So 7 n times 2n minus 1 over 8 factors do the top and bottom have in common? 2n minus 1. I'm going to cross off the 2n minus 1. I have 7n over 8. Unless, when would 2n minus 1 be 0? For what value of n would 2n minus 1 be 0? So what I'm asking is, when does 2n minus 1 equal 0? When n is 1/2. So in this case, n cannot be 1/2. So we're just trying to figure out what makes this factor that we canceled 0. And that would be n equals 1/2. Alright. Another example. Let's do one that's a little more complicated. How about this?
Is the answer just gonna be n not equal 1/2, or do we have to factor all of them?
You're going to factor and simplify it and then state the excluded value. The homework will have instructions, though. It says what to do. Okay. So let's simplify this. Right? Simplify. And often, like when you see these things on placement tests or whatever, they will say simplify, and then they'll also say state the excluded value. I want to simplify this. What do I have to do first? Factor the bottom. So this is going to be equal to v minus 5 over factors of 25 that add to -10 are -5 and -5. So I have v minus 5 times v minus 5. Or I could write v minus 5 squared. Either way is fine. So I can cancel a v minus 5 from the top and a v minus 5 from the bottom, giving me 1 over v minus 5, as long as v does not equal 5, because 5 would mean I canceled 0 over 0, which is not allowed. And looking back at what I canceled, figuring out what value of v would make that whole thing become 0. And that's it, I'm done. Questions on this? Yeah.
Did you do it where you make another problem where it's v minus 5 equals 0, and then you just switch it around?
Yeah, so like if I want to, the thing is that we've practiced this a lot because we've done finding zeros with quadratics, right? So for a lot of you, I think this is going to come pretty naturally. But if you don't see, when you look at this, if you don't automatically see this excluded value, just simply write out a thing that you canceled, v minus 5, and say, okay, when does that equal 0? So when does v minus 5 equal 0? And then you add 5 to both sides of this equation. Right? So v equals 5. This equals 0 when v equals 5. So my excluded value is v cannot equal 5. Right? I'll just simply reverse that. There's one more kind of level of complexity with this, which I'm not going to go into detail about this, but I just want to give you an example. Plus 5x minus 6. So let's say it says simplify and state excluded values. simplify this by factoring the bottom. Factors of negative 6 that add up to 5 are 6 and negative 1. So I have x plus 6 up top, and bottom I have x plus 6 and x minus 1. I can cancel off the x plus 6's, so that leaves me with 1 over x minus 1, as long as x does not equal
Negative 6.
negative 6, because negative 6 would make x plus 6 equals 0. X equals negative 6. A lot of times they actually are also looking for another excluded value in this problem. If you had to guess what the other excluded value is, yeah, see how there's an x in the denominator still? We don't want our rational expressions to have zeros in the denominator. So x can also not be 1, because that would make this denominator go to 0.
But then, wouldn't that like be with the 1 over v minus 5 too?
Right.
Oh
It would
no,
still be
I see.
it would still be true, like this is still equal to this, right? As if x is not equal to 1. And I don't want to go into kind of the detail about what excluded value really means there. Basically what we're trying to find, here's another way of thinking about excluded value, is what makes our denominator 0. Right? What makes our denominator 0 is either negative 6 or positive 1.
But just if it's the denominator, what if you have one on the numerator?
Right, if it's in the numerator it doesn't matter.
Value, okay.
Right? Because in the numerator we can have zeros. So like if I had something that came out to x minus 3 over 7, there's no excluded value for this. If x is 3, then I have 0 over 7, which is 0. That's a perfectly acceptable answer, right? It's an acceptable number. The problem with this one is when I try to divide by 0, I get an undefined answer. So anything that would make your denominator go to 0 at any point in your simplification would be considered an excluded value. Questions on that?